Hey, and welcome to the Power Brokers audio and video podcast. I'm Joe Santini. Find us wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as well. Today with us, really excited, we have Lance Branham, who is actually the managing broker for the Coldwell Banker in Ballantyne, North Carolina. And that Coldwell office is one of the brands for Anywhere Real Estate, and really successful office. That's the South Charlotte area. How are you, Lance?
Good, man. Glad to be with you today, Joe.
Awesome. So, Lance, really interesting. So, you are right now the number one recruiter for Coldwell Banker, and you've brought in numerous year to date agents with a lot of production. Again, the South Charlotte area. So, that's interesting. And before we get into like some of the reasons you're making that happen, tell us a little bit of how you got started in real estate. How did you come to this crazy business of ours?
Well, I was in telecom for almost 6 years, and with Deutsche Telekom. And my wife had this crazy idea as I was moving through that space that real estate could possibly be an option, which I didn't think it could be. Back in '04, it became an option, and I got into real estate back then and really never looked back. So I probably, before I was crazy enough to take on this role, I sold for about 13 or 14 years. So that's how it happened.
Really interesting. And are you originally from the Charlotte area?
I'm from South Carolina, so I grew up about an hour and a half south of Charlotte, so not too far away from home.
Same area, great area. So, when you look at what you've done this year, which is pretty incredible, it's not easy to do. What do you think makes your office so attractive to these recruits? Because, 30 or so recruits coming in, like what's going on there? Why are they so attracted to your office?
Well, I think first, I would say this. Interesting people are interested. And what I mean by that is when I'm meeting with an agent, like I'm asking a lot of questions about them. And we're really just trying to build a relationship, Joe. That's really my goal. So I'm trying to build as many relationships as I can. And when we can figure out that we can actually help them build their business, I'm coming after them, and they know it. So
That's great. So, listen, it is a relationship business, and I think you hit it right on the head. If you can master that, especially in like a community like yours, right? Um, there's a lot of people that have probably been there for a while, or you probably do see. Do you see a lot of people moving to that area? I'm sure you do, right?
yeah, Charlotte's the number one city to move to in America right now. So we have about 45 to 50,000 people coming in every year. We've generated about 18,000 jobs this year to date, that are non-farm jobs. So the salaries are competitive. And of course, we've got convenience and weather. So we're trying to capitalize on those opportunities. And then with that influx of traffic, we've got a lot of firms that are in this market. It's a very competitive market. And we've got to have a very unique value proposition to connect with agents. And we do.
That's awesome. And I think people, they see or they may think North Carolina is a small area, and it really isn't. It
Mhm.
really is a big populated state, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And, Charlotte just took over San Francisco as the 15th largest city, a little over a year ago. So the population's here. It's continuing to grow. And more importantly, Joe, we're creating jobs. And when you can do that, you can put yourself in a really good position to grow and keep it consistent. So
That's awesome. And when real estate agents come from other states
mhm.
to your office, where are they coming from? What
the,
states?
the top six, not even states, cities that moved to Charlotte, Manhattan,
Wow.
Chicago, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, some ones you wouldn't think of, Atlanta, and then, Miami, Florida. Top six.
Right, because it's so attractive. It's a mountain town, and it's an attractive place. So that's interesting. And the real estate business, the brokerage business has changed quite a bit. I know I've seen tremendous changes since I started. And it's very different to succeed nowadays in the brokerage business. You're doing a great job, one of the top offices for CB nationwide. What are you doing, or what's the secret to that? How do you run a successful office? What do you think the components of that are?
Well, our value proposition is support. We believe in human beings and human capital. So most firms, generically speaking, cannot support their agents one-on-one. They've got a lot of technology, but if you don't have people that can help connect those agents to that technology, then it probably doesn't exist. So our value proposition is our leadership and sales support team here, and we have the ability to drill down and get one-on-one with any of our agents at any time, and no one's going to beat us on that in this market.
Right, right. So you're available, you're helping them, and
Yeah.
listen, they're feeling the value. If a lot of people are joining your office, they're feeling that value to their business, and they're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
No doubt. So you get up every day. To recruit that many agents, you're making a lot of phone calls. That I know. So what does a day look like for you, Lance, in your office? Like, how are you spending your time? What's it look like from the time you get there till the time you leave?
Yeah, and that was one of the big things for me. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, so it took me a little while to figure out, what my system was. What's the collection of activities that I'm going to be able to consistently do to create a return on investment, and that goes for the culture and the business. So for me, I'm building those relationships every morning from 8:30 to 10 a.m. is when I'm initiating those calls, follow up, and building those relationships. The rest of the day is spent with my agents one-on-one, building their business, or my teams. And then I've got 10 commercial brokers. So we've got a robust commercial operation here, and we cover all the asset classes in North and South Carolina. So every day is packed. It's fun.
Great business, right? It is packed, definitely fun. And how many agents do you have in your office?
We got about 325 agents.
Wow.
Mhm.
I'm very surprised because I'm thinking like, North Carolina, they're probably small offices. That's a huge office. And do you have other offices close by, other CB offices
We do,
or?
yeah. We got four other offices in our metro, and it's fun to have a lot of those that are accessible. They're not too far away. That represent our brand and that really, help us create more market share for our agents. So it's a good thing.
Right, a lot of CB signs for
Yeah.
sure. So the market's changed. I know it's changed where I am. It's local in some instances. In some instances, it's not. It's national. So you know after getting through this year, right? What do you see happening? We've had some big changes this year, huge changes in the industry. What does real estate look like in 2025? What's your take on it?
Well, I'm really focused on what I call the fifth season. So that's November, December, and January, which technically someone would call that the slowest times of our market or year. And what we do there is we start planning in November for what 2025 is going to look like for our agents. So then building their business plans and their systems then. What I like is that the election is over and we've got a huge spike from that, probably to the tune of about 25 to 30% of those buyers and sellers that were paralyzed by those 40, 45 days before the election occurred. And we want to take that momentum, and I believe it will, Joe, go into January and February. I don't see interest rates coming down much, and I'm not anticipating that. So we want to take advantage of this spike in business, and we want to make sure we are connecting and staying in front of our closed clients and prospects. So.
Well said, well said. And then, with the changes, or tell me a little bit about the buyer agreement situation. Now, is that something you have had in North Carolina? If I'm not
Oh yeah,
mistaken, I believe
yeah,
that's so. Yeah,
and I cover. So Charlotte is 15, 20 mile. I could hit a pitching wedge and hit South Carolina from Charlotte. So I'm the broker in charge for both states. We do business in both states. Probably 65% of our business is North Carolina, 35% is South Carolina. Um, and so we're focused on both sides there.
So then a lot of your licensees have licenses in both states.
That's exactly right. And the buyer's agency agreement here,
Right.
Joe, has always been in place.
Right.
So really for us, it's been a seamless move. We've always had an opportunity to create value there. We continue to create value. And now I think this is a bigger opportunity for us because we're a full service brand. We've got fantastic agents, and it's an opportunity for us to separate from the other brands that don't have these resources and seasoned agents in place.
And that's awesome. So it sounds like you really got a handle on your office, and your agents. A lot of agents to deal with every day. How much time do you think you spend recruiting as opposed to some of the other activities that managers and broker owners do? How much time is it? The hour and a half in the morning, and that gets it done for you?
No, it's a great question. So that obviously building those relationships, but I probably have 10 appointments, at least 8 to 10 appointments that are meeting with agents that are looking for opportunities to join a dynamic firm and grow their business. And then throughout the week, I've probably got 20 to 40 appointments where we're meeting one on one with our existing agents, building their business, going on listing presentations, supporting their client appreciation events, and our commercial team. So I'm supporting our commercial brokers in that space too, which is a lot of fun because we have a lot of opportunities in all those asset classes that they cover. So it's full speed.
It's full speed. And I think, when you talk to managers and you talk to owners and brokers of successful offices, they all seem to have the same mindset where it's a complete picture, right? Like everything is checked off. Like they're not leaning too much one way or the other and forgetting some things. Like sometimes we see, if you're focusing on recruiting, then, the retention is going out the window, or if you're doing the retention, you're not recruiting. But I get a feeling you're very balanced. You're taking care of all parts of the office, including the commercial, which not so easy. There's a lot going on there as well. So that's a kind of a real good common denominator. So, as we get towards the end of our call today, Lance, I always like to wrap it up, with one question, right? So and that question is this. I always like to make this kind of my last question. So what do you think is the main reason for your success? Like if you had to nail it down to one thing, what would it be? Because you're shining in the recruiting area. Your office is balanced. It's a top office. So what is the one thing that contributes to that?
So I think in this space, and really any space, Joe, you have to be relentless. And I'm relentlessly focused on being the best in the market. And the one thing I would add to that is surrounding myself with people that are better than me. And so our leadership and sales support team here is dynamic. There's a lot of things that I just don't do well. And we're able to pick up each other in different spots and support our agents at a very high level. But they know the standard is to be number one. That is the standard. If we can get everybody focused on the standard, it just becomes part of their muscle memory. So that's how we approach every day.
That's really well said. And how many staff members do you have helping you run the office?
So we've got business development manager, we've got our marketing coordinator, social media specialist, our sales support admins. We've got 4 in that space. So it's a dynamic team, and they are focused on serving our agents, and they do it. So and then we have to recommit to that process every day.
That's great. Like good collaboration. Sounds like you got the right people. And, that's another thing I see too. When you look at the really good offices, all their staff members are top notch and they're all work, right? Like every position is top notch and they're all kind of in sync, almost like a championship sports team, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And that seems like you put that in place. Really awesome. Well, listen, if anybody's looking for an office in the North Carolina area, the Coldwell Banker Ballantyne office, Lance Branham is there. He's a guy that's going to grow your business, and no doubt about it. Reach out to him, look it up. It seems like you got a really good operation going there, Lance. And listen, thanks for joining us today and jumping on.
Joe, thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed it. Always good to catch up, brother.
Awesome.